Yesterday, Wardogs released a new devlog, and the more I hear about this game, the more intrigued I become. One of the main aspects that stood out to me is something that I covered in a prior video not that long ago about the difference between realism and being grounded in video games, and one of the things I spoke about was how a game could also be grounded in realism. In the video, they outright stated that they're not trying to make the most realistic shooter ever. However, they are using realism as a foundation for the game by utilizing real-world principles to add believable depth while still adjusting things for accessibility, readability, and overall gameplay. Some of the examples they spoke about was bullet drop being in the game and impacted by factors such as caliber, velocity, and weight of the bullet. All of that impacts the drag itself on each individual round. Even ricochets are being built into the game based on some real-world factors. This means that a lot of things matter, from surfaces to rounds, and even the penetration that could happen as a result of shooting through a particular type of material. They even spoke about how the crack of bullets that whiz by are based on things like caliber, allowing for potentially more readability in the moment, as a smaller round whizzing by may not be as much of a threat as a much larger caliber round being shot by a sniper rifle. They even spoke about having an aerospace engineer help them with developing the flight mechanics of the helicopters and then going in and adjusting it to make things a little easier and more accessible. This is a kind of realism that's something I think can exist in a good space while still giving some casual experience, but I still worry about if the game is going too close to a realistic or milsim kind of experience for my particular tastes. Even still, I believe this is a type of realism that does not exist purely to slow the game down, but overall to make the world feel more believable and giving decisions more weight. They also discussed how tactical trade-offs will matter, such as the loadout system entirely. Weapons and equipment will have weight, so the more that you carry, the slower you're going to run. On paper, I think this leads to loadouts having more consequences, such as having heavier weapons, more ammo, stronger equipment, or even anti-vehicle tools, leading to more deliberate choices and consequences as a result. One of the other things that really stood out to me here, and that I find promising, is the wide range of ways that players can be useful. The game is not purely about kills, as people could be just as impactful through other things, such as base building, playing medic, flying transport vehicles, anti-vehicle gear, controlling space, or even just supporting a push through something like sniping. I think this is a really good angle for them to take with this game, given that it's a large-scale combined arms experience that they're creating. Having players that are good with their role, such as good medics or transport pilots, can help maintain pressure on the opposing teams, so I think this will result in a design that makes matches feel bigger and allows for players to feel more rewarded for doing things that don't generally garner much love or attention. Now, I think my main concern here is in relation to the economy and loadout flow. They gave an example where an RPG may cost around $3,000, but taking out a chopper full of enemies could earn you $10,000. This means players can choose if they want to do something like a high-risk, high-reward kind of activity. I think this sounds great on the surface, especially from a decision-making standpoint, but my concern here is the overall pace and potential impact that this has on the game flow entirely. If a player puts all their money into a loadout and then dies, I'm curious to see how this could impact the flow of the game overall. Depending on how they have these systems set up, it could potentially lead to some players spending a lot of time in the base, or just too much time trying to buy or figure out what equipment they want to even run. I think this could hurt the flow of the game overall, because even though it adds depth, I think downtime here can be dangerous. Hopefully the process is pretty fast, clear, and intuitive overall. This is definitely an aspect of the game that I'm going to keep my attention on, as it could make or break the game for my experience. What may also offset this is the 100-player count in each round. So overall, I really do like the philosophy that they're going with here in utilizing realism to create believable depth, not just chasing realism for the sake of it. The factors such as weight, economy decisions, different ways to contribute, all lead to the game potentially having an extremely strong identity, which I think will be good for it in the long run. So the main concern really just comes down to whether all of that depth stays on the battlefield itself, or whether too much of it turns into a menu or base downtime. If they can make these systems feel immediate and rewarding, I think it could lead to the game having significantly more player base for an extended period of time than what the devs are even hoping for. But I'm curious, what do you think? Does Wardogs' grounded systems add meaningful depth, or do you feel like they could potentially make the gameplay too slow at times? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. I'll catch you on the next one. RAMTEID out.